Hi, welcome to Manas Shield YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 20. Chapter 3. The Titan of Shakeout. Desert Battle. What a cheek. Daggerel muttered in frustration as he watched his vanguard troops being blown away by missiles. It was an unexpected situation. He had intended to strike the enemy who had let their guard down, but his plan had been foiled. What now, brother? Was the question from Glassard, Daggerel's trusty brother. It was only then that Daggerel realized that his voice had escaped from his mouth. Fufufu, it's been a long time since I've been in a real battle. Let's him play for a while, so that he can get back to his instincts. It was frustrating to be wrong on the first move, but it did not matter much. The enemy resistance was more fierce than he had expected, but even this was of little concern to Daggerel. The number of binding chain giant gods is 30,000. Naturally, there were some inexperienced and weak soldiers among them. Even if they were sifted out, it was enough if only the elite remained. In fact, it was better for the survival rate of the soldiers to drop out before the battle intensified. Understood. We will let the new recruits and those without ultra-speed regeneration return here. Glassard also understood Daggerel's thoughts, nodded his head lightly, and gave his instructions. He was very familiar with the situation, and did not seem to be overawed by the prospect of a major war. When the generals are calm, their subordinates regain their composure. Since there was no disturbance in the chain of command, they quickly regained their posture. After that, the Titans began to throw projectiles using their monster strength. The attack was not prepared from the beginning, but was simply an attack of crushing giant rocks to a reasonable size, and throwing them as they pleased. However, this was a very destructive attack. It was equivalent to a skeleton archer's missile launcher, so it was easy to understand how the Titans had such unreasonable combat capability. The rock thrown in this way rained down on the long wall. The hit areas were severely damaged, and the monsters there were reduced to dust without any way to withstand the damage. However, the long wall itself is still standing. That's right, what emerged from the peeled-off outer wall was the dull glow of the magical steel. Luminous, you prepared something nasty. It's difficult to move inside the long wall because of the wards. As long as we don't break it, the battle will remain deadlocked. Glassard analyzed the situation in an uninterested way. Daggerel sniffed and observed the situation calmly. His first move was not a good one, but it was a foregone conclusion. After all, the cunning demon Lord Rimuru was waiting on the enemy side. I had thought that Michael had crushed Rimuru, but to my surprise, I heard that Rimuru had destroyed Michael. We should no longer underestimate him as a new demon lord. He had been recognized as a demon lord, but now he had become a demon lord who should be recognized as a rival or even a stronger demon lord than himself. Rimuru's specialty is the tactic of spotting the enemy's strategy, and then taking advantage of it. Daggerel fully understood that Rimuru did not like to see his allies suffer any casualties through their past relationships. As was Rimuru's strategy, immortal monsters were the first to be deployed. If they ignore the anomaly that they are moving even in the daytime, they are just weak monsters. However, their offensive power is not negligible. They have never seen such a weapon before, but as they can see, it is too powerful for a low-ranked warrior to withstand. Some of them tried to make a suicide attack, but they were flung down by the attacks of the zombie soldiers, who had been lining up to attack them. It seems that they are not magic, but are sending small pieces of debris at high speed. Both attacks were effective against giants. Although they have high resistance to magic as a race trait, these attacks seem to be physical attacks and were meaningless. Low-level warriors without regenerative abilities were helplessly beaten. Fortunately, the enemy's defenses were no better than those of ordinary undead. The battle was a long-range firefight, inflicting considerable damage on both sides. The long wall that Luminous had built was probably the reason for this strategy, but it was not fun for Daggerel to have to fight so hard against an opponent who normally would not take a stand against him. Oh, dear. I thought I had underestimated Rimuru, but I never expected this. I didn't expect my pretty soldiers to be defeated by a bunch of lowly undead. Daggerel complained. Daggerel remembers his old memories, but his character has not changed. He does not dislike Rimuru, and he does not want to antagonize his old friends if he can help it. However, the memory of the old gods, when they were purely rampaging to dominate the planet, makes Daggerel's heart grow fiercer. He rebelled against Veldanava, the god, to show off his existence. Daggerel believed that this was what Veldanava wanted. A child is more than his parents, a pure wish. They cannot disappoint God by failing to live up to his expectations. There are those who have been charged with the task of killing God. Daggerel was one of them. That's why they can't stop. Even if it means betraying their friends, even if they don't know if it's the right thing to do. Daggerel suddenly remembered something. Luminous who murdered my friend Twilight and I have been at loggerheads ever since that day. This is another reason why we must fight. Yes, Luminous, the demon lord whom Daggerel recognizes as his rival, has killed her parents. He is a man of resentment, jealousy, and respect for the murder of his best friend. With these mixed feelings, Daggerel has complicated feelings for Luminous. Suddenly, he think. Daggerel's sons, Dagur, Lur, and Deborah. He knew from their presence that they were in this battlefield. He wondered how they would fight, even though they were enemies this time. They're spoiled sons who are strong only in power, but not so strong in ability. There would be a touch of armor in front of a real demon lord. Daggerel loves his sons, but he does not expect it. No. He dared not train them because he did not want them to bear the fate of the murder of their parents. It is absolutely impossible to defy the Creator. But his sons are free from the curse. Yes, I will conquer my way. So you are free to live the way you believe. And of course, to enjoy freedom, we need power to protect it. What about the boys, brother? Fen asks Daggerel, amused. I know. If they stand in front of us as our enemies, we will beat them up without any kind of mercy. If you can feed on the pain, good. Or else. Or, they will rot. That is the absolute rule of this world, the law of the jungle. I hope you're getting stronger. At least not to the point where you're afraid of me. Daggerel has no doubts. He only does what he has to do. Daggerel is a warrior, to the point of stupidity. And then. The time for the Titans to unleash their fury on this battlefield is almost upon them. As Adalman and his men began to fight, Xian was ready. You heard me, boys. I won't say much. But do you understand what we have to do? We're going to take the equipment from the enemy, and then we're going to go back to the camp. We'll take equipment from the enemy and prepare our own. Xian's men are indeed the best. They read the Lord's thoughts accurately and showed their motivation. Seeing this, Xian nodded her head in satisfaction. Yomagari and Xian's had now grown to an astonishing size. Xian finally began to think about the cost of equipment, but that was a problem that Gobso and others had been worrying about for a long time. And they had given up. Since Xian's subordinates were all capable people, it was agreed that they should be able to obtain weapons and armor by themselves. Therefore, it was acceptable for them to be ill-equipped, but this time, they had a chance to procure them in an absurd way. Only Gobso thought that he might get angry with him later, but this is also the usual case, so she agreed to it without worrying about it. Leading in war is an act that should be prohibited. Leading from civilians is never allowed. However, disarming the enemy in order to neutralize them is allowed. As they can see from the fact that Adalman utilized the weapons taken from the Imperial soldiers, it was left to each commander to decide what to do with the arms obtained by defeating the enemy forces. Fufufu, even that Adalman prepared his own equipment for his men. Even I can do it. Thus, Xian had a high self-esteem. She had thought of asking Rimuru to help her, but she changed her mind, thinking that he was being too generous. In this respect, Xian has grown up, but she still has a long way to go before she jumps into the easy way of robbing from the enemy. However, this time, it helped to boost the morale of the participants. Xian is also suddenly motivated. After all, the army of giants in front of them is wearing large armor. They can take all the materials they want. It brings a smile to everyone's face. Now, as for Xian's men. With less than 100 members, the Yomagari are all treated as executives. As it should be, even the weakest of them were ranked over A in strength since they had become a tribe of deadly demons named by Rimuru. They are the hornless demons, and they are completely individualistic, with some of them recruiting subordinates from the SS and others pretending to be lone wolves. Some of them are young girls, but some of them have a large number of men in their ranks. And then there is Xian's fan club. This group is led by Dagur, Lur, and Deborah. The honorary president is Gobso, but this is not important since he is more of a scullery maid. The SS is also known as the Terror Knights. The total number of those who are skilled in battle is as many as 3,000, consisting of miscellaneous races of the Xian faction. But Dagur and the others laughed cheerfully. Don't worry. Whether it's your father or your uncle, we'll beat them to a pulp. Yeah. Let's show them how we really do it. Woohoo. It makes my stomach rumble. Xian thought for a moment, what is this guy talking about? But Deborah's words are always strange. Well, he is fat, and it's no wonder that he is ringing. However, it is not a sign of motivation, Xian thought. However, it's too much trouble to go into it, so I just let it pass. If they say it is alright, it must be alright. The problem was their uncle. Rimuru told them that Daggerel's change of mind had something to do with his uncle, and that one of them was extremely troublesome. Daggerel has a younger brother, tell me what you know. Xian asked the question straightforwardly, thinking that she should have asked earlier. In response, Tagura and the others opened their mouths frankly. Their reactions are quick, as they have no intention to hide anything. Hey, I heard there are two of them. My uncle Glassard, who is my father's second in command, has been helping me a lot, but I've never even met this Sven guy. From what I heard, he was so bad he was sealed up. The story that he beat his father is a bit unbelievable, but it's possible if the rumors are true. Xian nodded her head, though she did not have much information. I see, Daggeril Dono was indeed strong. I'd like to ask him for a match, but if Fan and the others are as strong as him, they must be a threat. She does not seem to be a threat at all as she smiles wryly. Deborah, feeling encouraged by Xian's confidence, gets into a good mood to imitate her. Well, if you leave it to us, I'm sure my father and uncles can handle it. Hearing this, Xian starts to feel uneasy. They say, look at other people's behavior and you'll see how they behave themselves, and that's exactly what happened this time. Ultima advises Xian like this. But you should not be so careless. Daggeril was really strong, and to be honest, it would be tough even for me if I didn't play hard. Xian agreed with this opinion. She would like to challenge Daggeril, but she does not think she can win. Xian, who had been in close contact with Daggeril, just wanted to test her strength against a warrior like Daggeril. But still, it's hard to believe that he betrayed us, isn't it? Well, maybe he betrayed us, or maybe he had something he wanted to do. Well, it will be clear once we defeat him, so there's no point in thinking about it. Ultima answered Xian's question bluntly. Daggeril is a naturally occurring indigenous god. They are super living creatures that have lived far longer than the present human race. Such long-lived species are usually acquainted with each other, and have some kind of relationship with each other. Perhaps they knew Feldway, too, Ultima thought, and if so, the word betrayal might be a strange one. At any rate, there was no answer to her question. Now that they're enemies, there was no need to take any chances, and the victor was the righteous one. Xian agrees with Ultima's thoughts. In the old days, I would have ridden alone and challenged Daggeril Dono to a single combat. That's what the old Xian would have done, without thinking about whether she could win or not. That's a story we can all agree on. Even now, Xian thinks it would have been easier if she had defeated Daggeril herself. Now that she is in charge of the army, she understands that such an outburst is a bad idea. And yet, now, I am able to think of a plan like this. I've become more mature now. Xian praised herself in such a way, satisfied with the growth of her mind. When she thought that no one would agree with her, Deborah made a foolish remark again. What? Xian-sama is not fat at all. Hearing this, everyone thought he's dead, isn't he? Deborah, the youngest of the three brothers, just spreads out horizontally, no matter how much he eats, and it seems like his brain is not being nourished. He is the biggest fool of the three brothers, and the most boisterous of them all. He lacks the ability to read the air even more than Gobso, and makes these gaffes without thinking. And, of course, these comments infuriated Xian. No, Xian is not overweight and does not care about it, but she is angry, so she can't help it. Really? Xian smiled a very nice smile and clenched his fists. Then she punched Deborah in the stomach. It was what is called a corkscrew punch. You freaking idiot. He said to Deborah, who was lying on the ground. Here's your reward, he says. Deborah faints with a big smile on his face. And his two older brothers look at him enviously. These two brothers are not as stupid as Deborah, but they are stupid too. Xian, who is dealing with these three brothers, is feeling something dreadful at the same time. In fact, she was impressed by them. They were getting to the point where they didn't need to be so tough anymore. Deborah, for example, only fainted even though she hit him quite seriously, but his body itself is still in good shape. In terms of endurance alone, he was definitely the most durable of the three brothers. There are truly terrible people in this world. Yes, in many ways. However, if they were her friends, I could count on them. Xian truly believed in these three men. And Xian quickly changed her mind. Glancing at Dagur, Lura, and Deborah, the sons of Daggeril, Xian's mind wandered. She must not let them break through this long wall. Beyond the long wall lies an unprotected sanctuary, and beyond that lies the sphere of human civilization. It was an unsuitable terrain to defend, and its loss would mean that Rimura's ideal would be far away. For Xian, this was an event that she could not tolerate. Xian made this fact engraved in her mind once again. How powerful is Daggeril? He was said to have been an even match with Vildoris Sama, so he has no shortage of opponents. Even if I lose, we have Ultima and Luminous Sama. Who will win in the end? Daggeril and his two brothers. Others, the strong ones they haven't seen yet. Xian's will fight not be discouraged in the face of an enemy whose strength is unknown. In the worst case scenario, even if she loses her entire army, she is determined to destroy Daggeril on this land. Listen. Adalman has made the first move, but the real attack will come later. Show these fools what we can do. Xian announced loudly to morale-boosting friends. In response, the crowd roared with cheers. It was like a group of fans attending an idol concert. For Xian and her followers, nervousness is nothing to worry about. Xian smiles wryly. Her smile encouraged and empowered her allies. Ultima, who had been listening to the exchange between Xian and the others, laughed in disgust. Xian's eyes are already the eyes of a predator who is aiming at her prey. Xian's eyes were already looking at Predator's eyes, as if she was aiming at her prey. I should learn from her. She secretly respected her. She guessed for Xian, even the army of giants is just food for their own improvement. Her ultimate positivity was an ideal that Ultima, as a spiritual life form, could learn from and admire. It is no wonder that Diablo recognizes Xian, and Ultima will do its best to support Xian. So, she will interject at the right time. Xian-san, the operation is going well as planned, and we should probably get ready for it. As she pointed out, Adalman himself was about to make a move to the war back to a stalemate. The war has just begun. From this point on, the intensity of the war will only increase. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.